Canadiens general manager said that the team's future is bright and he will not mortgage it just hoping to make the playoffs. Do you agree with Burgerman that the Habs' future is bright?
I find this hard to digest just because I feel like I heard this from Marc Bergevin back in 2014 when you had a young group of Nathan Beaulieu, Jared Tenorti, Nikita Scherbak, that he kept saying that he's not going to make any big trades because he likes the future. Now we are in the future, and it doesn't look like any of those young players were able to pan out. Now, I do think that the group that they have coming up are a little bit better than those ones that were around the team in 2013, 2014. However, I just don't know if I trust Marc Bergevin to be able to develop these players to reach their full potential, or will we be here again, 5 years later and having the same story and none of those players that everyone is very optimistic about now not panning out and being in the NHL?
It comes across as mixed messaging, considering that, you do have the young players that are there, but you also said this was more of a reset, and you still have some of those older veterans that are there who very clearly want to be on a competitive team and still want that chance at a Stanley Cup. So if you're going to say that your future is bright and you want them to be the priority, and you're not going to be mortgaging your futures for a rental player, we're talking about Taylor Hall here, obviously. Maybe Cole Caulfield was involved in a deal. Maybe that first-round pick was on the table. We'll never really truly know. That being said, if you're going to go on that front, then what are you doing with all those veterans that are there who still clearly want to win? If the Canadiens were not in the position that they were in right now, if they were a much worse off team and they were truly making an emphasis on some of those younger players, I've been saying this a lot now, but we'd be looking at Shea Weber's totals and we'd be thinking, okay, which teams could take Shea Weber right now? He's been great for the culture of this team. He's been great for some of those players, and he's having a really good season. That being said, with the team that they're set now, if Marc Bergevin really feels, it's all about the future and laying some of those guys up and not looking to deal some of those off for a really good player who could really help them in the interim, you have to wonder what's the game plan for guys like Carey Price? What's the game plan for Shea Weber? What's the game plan for other veterans you want to clear out? You can't be saying that you're playing for the future, which you've already said from a couple years ago. You can't be playing for the future and at the same time say, well, no, we want to play for the present, win a Stanley Cup, and then when the opportunity comes for you to make a move for a guy like Taylor Hall, I know he might have just been a rental, but that's a guy who could have maybe given you a solid chance in the postseason if need be. It's a lot of mixed messaging right now. Like, what does Marc Bergevin really want from this core?
What is this GM supposed to do in the middle of a season when somebody asks him the team's fighting for a playoff spot? Who in their right mind is going to be like, okay, listen, we're only 2 points out, let's blow the whole thing up? You look at that guy like, what, are you crazy? Give me what you're smoking, The problem I have with Bergevin is he's done this before. He has said, we're not going to make changes, we're going to make changes. And this is where I think he's a really good poker player. And I think that if I had heard what I just heard, and I'm a player on the team, I'm going, oh man, he's working on something. Because he's proven it before. He says something, and then he goes out and makes this move that you don't expect anybody to make. So I think that's his tell. Like, if I'm a poker player, the fact that he's like, I'm not going to do anything, you got pocket tens.
Do you think he's going to make a trade?
I'm not saying he's going to make a trade, but I think he can't say that he wants to, maybe sell some of the veterans off to bring some of the new kids up. Mid-season, in a playoff hunt, you can't. He would have been fired. He would have been lambasted. So he said the right things. Whether it's true, we're going to find out.
Well, it's the same thing. Think of when he was saying he wasn't shopping PK Subban.
Look what happened.
Yeah.
No, the Marc Bergevin I have no clue what he's going to end up doing in the deadline. There's been so many deadlines where you think, he's going to do something, and then nothing happens, or maybe the opposite happens. He just leaves us in the dark.
All we can do is wait and see.
Maybe he's got another trip to Russia.
Maybe.
Ooh, I'd love to go to Russia.
Really?
We will be back with a brand new panel episode on Thursday, January 9th, but until then, you could check out hockeyinsideout.com to see our bonus features.